Special Forces soldier and a commander of the Armed Defenders and Counter-Terrorist Squad, I thought I knew a few things about leadership. And that was until Tuesday, the 10th of July, 2007. And the events that day caused me to think deeply about my leadership and the successes, failures, and it proved to be the most toughest day of my leadership. I was sitting at Auckland Central Police Station enjoying my Weet-Bix and coffee, and I was alerted to an incident that was occurring in New Lynn. A patrol stopped a car, it flared, and it crashed in Portage Road. The driver got out and pointed a pistol at the officers. They chased him. There was a woman walking by. He grabbed her, used her as a shield between himself and the officers, let her go, and ran across Great North Road and into a panel beater shop. There were 3 panel beaters getting ready for the day. Forced them inside, closed the roller door, and that began a 3-hour hostage situation. Media arrive, members of the public everywhere, police swarm the area, all waiting for the commander, for me, to arrive to take command. At that point, almost choking on my Weet-Bix, I run downstairs, gather my team, and we race to New Lynn. And when I arrive, everyone wants a piece of me. Boss, where do you want the cordons? Boss, media want an interview. Assistant Commissioner wants an update, boss. And that little voice in my head keeps saying, don't panic, be calm. Deep breath in, out. Confidence, you got this. You got this. Time to lead. You see, in these situations, everyone's looking at their leader as to how to respond. And if the leader panics, we all panic. The panel beater shop, block construction, roller door at the front. Beside was a mechanic's bay, and I decided to have my holding area right next door. Separating 2 premises was a block wall and a wooden door. My plan was simple: send a team, blow and smash in the roller door. But that would be a distraction, hard to break in. I use explosives on the wooden door, guaranteed access, get in quick, save the hostages. You see, when you storm a building, what you have to do is deny the offender time to react. So by using explosives, we can use it on a wooden door, get in quick, do what we have to do. Up to that point, explosives had never been used by the New Zealand or Australian police. I had to get my plan approved by Wellington, by my boss, and he wanted evidence, data about the collateral damage. I couldn't provide that. I could not provide that. So, no approval. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the siege. I can hear next door people yelling, screaming, furniture being thrown around. My negotiator says, boss, negotiators have failed. The only way to resolve this is to rescue the hostages. Ring Wellington, still in deliberations, no decision. And in my earpiece, my sniper tells me he can see them kneeling on the ground with a gun to their heads. 2 teams stacked and ready. Sniper has him in his sights. What do? I'm the leader, no one to defer to. Do I take the shot? Do I blow the door? What if I tell the sniper to take a human life? What would you do? See, upon reflection, whether we take the shot, blow the door, the more important questions are, if we took the shot, what would be the consequences of that on his family, the sniper and his family, and on police? If we blew the door and people were killed, I'll sacrifice everything, my reputation, my career, even imprisonment, lose my family. And if we didn't execute the plan and people were killed, could I live with that? Could the police live with that? Will the community accept that decision? And when I needed my team most, how do I know they're going to follow me when I give that command? And it's called fellowship. Fellowship has 2 strands: trustworthy and stability. See, people follow leaders if they're trusted and they're stable, and here's the definition. And leadership thought, leadership studies throughout the years, but the answer to all those questions distilled down to one word: values. Values led me to do what I had to do that day. You see, organisations around the world have values plastered on walls, intranet. What do they mean? Where do they come from? Do they have any meaning? And here's a basic definition. And what is the importance of values on leaders? And research tells us that our basic beliefs, our values, how we interact with humans are derived from growing up, early ages, and the environment we're exposed to. And mine was way back in Greyland in the 70s and 80s. And that's me, the smiley guy on the far left. And my family came from Samoa in the 60s for a better way of life, for better opportunities. In that photo, I couldn't speak a word of English, and I was bullied and marginalised for that. I never saw much of my parents. They worked 2 jobs, 6 days a week. Sunday was always for church and rest. We lived in a small little house, always busy. Cousins, nephews, aunties, uncles use it as a base so they too can get a slice of heaven. I had a small bedroom and I shared with 2 older cousins. They had the bunk bed and I slept on the floor. Shared everything. We'd go to the freezing works, get off the off-cuts of meat, bits that people didn't want, pig trotters, pig heads, chicken necks. And out west, we'll go to the orchards and get bruised, damaged fruit, veggies, take it all back to feed our families, to sustain our families. And I spoke a different language and I looked different, and I was constantly reminded of that. And in the winter, I was always wet and cold and always hungry, almost deprived of the basic needs of life. But we got by. And because our adults, they were always working, so the kids had to roll their sleeves up, do the mahi, look after siblings, look after our grandparents. It taught us teamwork and work ethics. And I used to run around the neighbourhood, pick up anything so I can contribute, pocket money, milk runs, paper runs, sweeping yards. I had a tough childhood, but I wouldn't change a thing. And I had no time for schoolwork. So, as a 17-year-old Pacifica youth, unskilled, no qualifications, I left school, destined for the labour markets. My first job was driving forklifts, unloading trucks, packing shelves, and just that's the way it was. And as the years rolled on, I still had a deep sense of service, duty, values, and labouring wasn't fulfilling that for me. Then one day, there was an advert, join the elite special air service, straight from the public, straight from Civilian Street, and because of attrition, because of Vietnam, Malaya conflict, they went straight to the public to get recruits. I didn't even know what special air services meant, but I knew it had something to do with guns because there was a New Zealand Army advert. So myself and 300 others, we went along to the open days. 16 months interviews, testing, mental health, and 300 went through and 4 passed. And I was one of them. Why 4? Why me? There were people that are faster, stronger, more intelligent than me. What was the SAS looking for? And they expected you to be fit, strong, resilient, tough-minded. They'll teach you to shoot, to parachute, to navigate. But in that 16 months, they wear down your barriers and filters that we portray an image of what we want people to see. And they do that because they want to see deep into your soul. They want to see your true personality. And the only way they can do that is to see you at your most vulnerable, weakest, no resistance, nothing else to give. And the reason why they do that is because they want to see how you treat, interact with people at your lowest ebb. And when you're hundreds of kilometres behind enemy lines, no food, no ammunition, no transport, no rescue, can you trust the soldier next to you to do the right thing when that patrol has nothing else to give? Who dares wins. And what they saw was my belief systems, my values that I had formed over those early years. And my values aligned to the SAS tenets and values, and I'd found a place where I belonged. I have 4 main belief systems, 4 main values. The first I refer to is H&H, human humility. Humour, because it lightens the mood, lightens the load of everyday grind. Hey, it's okay to have fun, because life's tough, leadership's tough. I had a tough upbringing. The prospects of poverty and hardship was tough. And it gave me a positive mindset to be able to push through those times. Great for culture, great for teamwork, infectious. Have you ever been in a room or team where you're laughing and joking and really happy to be at work? Do you remember how you felt? Humour. Humility. That I always remember my parents. They strived for everything for their children. And I could see the toil, the burden that had on them. Selfless acts of love with the deepest humility. Never forget that. It's always in here, my parents. And as a senior officer, I always sit in the back row and avoid the limelight. Simply because I push my team forward so they can lead, so they can bask in the limelight. Because the more invisible we become as leaders, the more we allow our followers to transition to be leaders themselves. The invisible leader. And humility kept me grounded and my ego in place. And if I thought I knew everything, I've climbed my Everest. Nothing else to learn, nothing else to give. Humility. And my third, respect. I learned at a young age to respect life, respect what little we had. I might live in the most humble of homes, but they'll always be clean, tidy, lawns always done. I had a couple of clothes, sets of clothes, washed, clean. My personal hygiene, immaculate. And I learned to share and go about and expect nothing in return. And because we lived on top of each other, we had to care and respect each other, help support each other, and don't be judgmental. Our differences, tolerance, because we had to respect people. In those early days of racism, inequality, it also taught me to respect other cultures, to embrace diversity and inclusiveness, to stamp out bullying and inappropriate behaviour. And respect taught me mindfulness, watch my moods, watch my emotions. Because no matter what bad day you're having, always treat people with respect. Humility and respect. When you're a leader, you have authority over people. Always respect people, because if you respect people, you respect the position you held in that moment of time. Respect. And my last, honesty. How could I not be honest when I witnessed my parents working so hard? I had to be part of their journey for ainga, for family. I had to roll my sleeves up. Honesty and toil. We couldn't escape the harsh realities of poverty, insecurity, inequality, hardship, honesty of toil. And it made me honest in my feelings and honest in all my interactions with people. And as a person and as a leader, it taught me to speak with truth, act with truth. And if I say I'm going to do something, commit to it. Because there's policy and procedure that we sometimes use and justify our actions. Used as a default position rather than addressing the real issues. And what honesty does, it gives you strength of character and courage that it may not be policy, but it's the right thing to do. No one said leadership was easy. Leadership can be a lonely place. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Lead, lead, lead. Do I take the shot? Do I blow the door? Come on, team. I've got to do something. We've got lives to save. What would you do? I authorize my team leader. Execute the plan. And in my earpiece, I hear, all teams, stand by, Go, boom, silence. All hostages saved, one in custody. Not one injury, not one scratch. Success. The first time explosives were used operationally by Australia and New Zealand Police. Commissioner visits the team and commends them for the outstanding and courageous work that saved lives that day. And the pistol, it turned out to be a plastic replica. And I realised that my values of humour, humility, respect, and honesty had caused a culture of fellowship in the people that I'd led. And I knew then why they would follow me into battle. Have you ever been in a position where you had to make a really important decision? And do you remember how your team felt? Do you remember how you dealt with that? Can you describe your leadership and the true meaning of your leadership? Can you sum it up in one or two words? I brought my values to life by the way I lived and the way I led, and it caused me to be the first Pacifica officer appointed area commander in Tamaki Makaurau, the first Samoan officer to be appointed area commander in New Zealand, and the first Pacifica officer to be appointed tactical commander, special tactics group. In terms of your values and your beliefs, that's what governs the way you interact and you live with people. But understand this. Understand yourself first, not leadership. Sometimes people confuse the two. Be yourself as a leader, or else it'll be false and unnatural. And when I fully understood the true essence of values on leaders, I not only became a better leader, I became a better person. Thank you.